there. Great. So let us give some time for everyone to join. Then we will introduce you. And we are already live. Yeah, people start joining. Great, fantastic. Let we give like 1-2 seconds only. Amazing. Fine. Let we start. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and thanks for our panelists today. It's our great pleasure to have you with us. I will give the space for everyone to introduce himself, so I don't miss any great features or any great achievement that you did it in your career, which is will be great. And we will carry on with a small introduction about our topic in the panelist, which is the future forecasting for emerging technology in the Arab region and even in the world. And we need to learn what is happening in the world, what is the future forecasting happening across the world, because Arab region is a part of the world, and definitely everyone like to learn and know what is happening and carry on. So let us start with Tessie. Go ahead, please.
Thanks, Rami. Yeah, my name is Tessie Merain. I live in New York City, and I'm the co-founder of Liquality. Liquality is a project that was incubated at Consensus, which is the biggest blockchain software company. And Liquality creates financial software that is unintermediated. It's peer-to-peer software that runs on the blockchain. And we have recently released a wallet that allows you to hold Bitcoin and Ethereum-based assets, and you can swap them, which is a pretty big thing for people who know blockchain, because those are two chains that are normally incompatible, and so we made them compatible, and so you can do cross-chain swaps, secure without a middleman, and without having to give out any personal information. And before I was with Liquality, I was with the investment bank of JP Morgan for about 6 years, and also worked with the Occupy's Alternative Banking Group, because I did see there are some problems in the banking world, and I wanted to help. And I also in 2016 founded Women in Blockchain, which is now a global community, and that should be a catalyst for women to define the impact of blockchain on the world. Thank you.
Fantastic, impressive. Thank you so much, Mr. Sherbil. How are you today?
Thank you, Rami. Thank you. My name is Sherbil Ghostin. I'm the co-founder of Blockchain Leaders, a consultancy firm operating in the MENA region and in Canada also. I worked as advisor for multiple blockchain projects in healthcare, energy, supply chain, education. I'm a university lecturer also since 2007, teaching computer networks and telecommunication mainly. I'm also the managing partner of Unified Systems Integration, LLC, a system integration company operating in UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Lebanon. So thank you, Rami, for having us today.
Cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time and effort. We do have also other panelists that will join us once they have the chance. And let we go directly to the topics. So mainly, as we know, the forecasting of the emerging technology can help the government enterprise in various countries to grasp the key success into the new world of the technology competition. And the emerging technology has multiple pattern and development in different fundamentality and different requirement for the government enterprise, even for maybe the startups as well. So the technology innovate based on multiple field conversions, which can create a numerous opportunity development, use cases, integration, enhance the features, enhance the market. Yeah, definitely these type of technologies is, if we gather it all together, it will make really a great change, a great impact. So my questions for you, the first questions that we would like to know, what are the emerging technology that that will shape the future from your point of view? Because based on your experience, you work in different field, and you feel that maybe I'm specialized in this domain, but I believe if this another emerging technology merged with that field, it will make a very change for the future. So what do you think? Which technology, emerging technology, you can see that it will shape the future soon? Ms. Tissi?
Well, let's look at what's out there, right? What's starting or what's already progressing for a long time, right? And that would be AI, machine learning. All of these technologies actually, have started like many years ago. And one is AI, machine learning, the bigger framework of growing intelligence. There's so many different categories within that. And the other one is scaling truth, which is blockchain. Sorry, that's my cat. Which is a blockchain, and allowing with scaling truth also scaling trust, and with that scaling transactions, right? And I'm going to come back to that. And the next one I would say is anything that has to do with cloud computing, anything remote, right? So if you look at increasing intelligence combined with increased trust and increased access, a lot can happen for better or for worse, actually. The good things, our environment will be smarter, and already we have these devices, like we have things like this, Fitbits and personal variables that increase the human itself, and then also the extension of our smartness being in AI, extension of our intelligence. So in the future, what do I see happening when these things come together? A variety of things, so that we can work across different. Sorry, I couldn't leave the cat outside. He was like rampaging in front of the door. So there are definitely what's already happening. There are different types of asset classes and different types of transaction types and those kind of things. Combining those technologies, we have been working on these technologies for a long time. Like, for example, AI was definitely already happening 30 years ago. Blockchain started with the internet, which already went to consumers also about 30 years ago. Now we are in Web3. Combining these technologies will bring more intelligence and more precision and more optimization, but we also have to make sure at the same time that we do this in a certain way, because there is, of course, also the danger that we accelerate situations that are not working for everybody right now. And so, that's my comment to this question.
Cool. Mr. Sharbil, what do you think?
Yes, I totally agree with what Tessie said regarding intelligence, trust, and all that. I believe also that using all the emerging technologies in a way will give us a potential of innovation in the future. So beside AI, blockchain, IoT, big data, those names, I believe that any technology that responds to the basic demands of human being will have an impact in the future. So anything that maybe applies within healthcare, especially after the pandemic experience, in banking, travel, education, any technology will have an impact in the future. So mainly 5G, we can state digitally extended realities like AR, VR, or augmented reality, mixed reality. Also, I believe that technologies like additive manufacturing or 3D printing, digital twins also. So any technology, as I mentioned, that have direct interaction with people, with a human being, could have a direct impact on the future of any society or any business also.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
Carry on.
that's it. No, that's it.
Great. So actually, yeah, as you mentioned, from your point of view, and to see as well that all these type of technologies, really, it will make a very good impact to the life. With and we cannot ignore even the disadvantages of these technologies, but at least there is a big change will be happen. There is economical bar. There is a lot of things will be changed in the process, make life easy, and so on. Some people, they see that it is a challenge or it is a risk for them, for their jobs, their positions somehow. Government, sometimes they see it as a competition for them, especially in the fintech part, the financials area, and so on. But again, if you look to the big picture, definitely, yeah, will be a very good enhancement, a very good potential to make life more predictive, have maybe be more secured. We hear about a lot of attacks happening in the last years. New technologies coming, a new enhancement happening for multiple vendor, but still the attack is there, because attackers, they have one aim, just to reach to the data, which is the currency of the internet itself. You have the data, you have the intelligence, you have everything, you can do it. So this is really, it will make a lot of great impact and changes, and it's consistent. And the special part is merging all of them together. Let's say building a blockchain, a program or a platform. Definitely, this will enhance the security, but I need maybe some intelligence coming from IoT devices. I need speed internet through 5G to connect and collect this information and send it to me. And we need also to consider like the AI brain that they will do the predictions and fast analysis for these inputs and fill it in that one. So yeah, really there will be a very change and impact over there. Okay, now carrying to the second questions here, and just note for the attendees, if you have any question, just put it in the chat. We can also take the questions for the panelists, and we will open it for discussion as well. So the questions here, we can see the innovations through these technologies will help the startups, will help the economy. It will help maybe opening a new domains, new ideas. What do you think? Or it limiting the current model of the startup, or the current model of the new product is coming to the market for that?
I would like to say something about your comment right now. So you're talking about what happens in the future, right? But the future is already here, right? We have this already. Like we have already the impact of what happened with the internet, for example, which was also conceived as a decentralizing technology. So when I started working on the internet, when I was a student, I was thinking like, oh, there's this place out there that is all one, and there are no borders, and everything is great. And there is this world that is totally together. And it didn't end up being that way. Instead, we realized much later that the exchange for our interactions was data. And so we have accumulated a lot of data in Internet 1.0 and 2.0. And so there's a lot of data on one side that we didn't necessarily want to give up. So the individual is already pretty transparent or pretty out there. And so to think from here now, what is the future is, or what do we need to do now, has also in some ways to do with that, right? Like what has already happened and what are we trying to counter? So for example, let's say the ability through the internet to be global, and at the same time, of course, corporations went global, everything is more global, allows us to transact globally, which also means we have to add this trust layer that we hadn't added to the internet back then, which can be added with blockchain. Not every blockchain, but blockchain can add that. For example, let's look at provenance tracking, supply chain. So, I mean, consumers today are asking for this, right? They say, like, because we are a global world, we want to know, make sure that our products are produced, sourced right and not with slave labor. But how do we make sure of that? Or phishing. Let's say phishing is a really good example, right? So other technologies coming in, AI or GPS technology, then combine those. One is like the tracking where you say, okay, we have a timestamp, but then you also need the location. And because you can't just rely on that individual putting the right data on the blockchain, right? So we are creating those mechanisms at the same time. So there's the blockchain work being done, logging and getting better at that. But unless we also bring in the intelligence, that doesn't help us because we still have to rely on the person putting the data on the blockchain, right? So that's where I see a lot of benefit, and that's where I also think it makes sense to, develop these technologies, even though we are not sure yet. I mean, we know that it's not perfect yet, right? And then going from there. You also mentioned the governments and financial sector. Of course, money is power, and whoever controls that, has power, and therefore, creating something that brings the agency back to the people, and I would say really bringing it back, because I mean we used to have, we used to know people we were transacting with. There was trust, or we had trust because we knew the families. Now that has been replaced by trusted third parties, and those are the banks, and they're very inflated, and they're great for like certain things, but for a lot of consumers, they also keep out about 2.2 billion people, because that business isn't worth it, right? So, and that's okay, because it isn't worth it, right? So, but you can do this with blockchain, and you can bring trusted transactions so that you don't need to have those intermediaries. So I think there is something that's great in terms of like the shift in agency back to the individuals and the responsibility, but also that might not be in the interest of every institution.
Great. What do you think, Mr. Sharber?
Well, back to your question, Rami, regarding the relation of technology and startups and innovation. I believe that each day and each year we have something innovative that will show. So a startup should build on new ideas and new innovations always. It's a mutual relation between technologies and startups in any sector, from fintech to blockchain to supply chain, education. In all sectors, startups should make use of the existing technology to provide new ideas always. And we are seeing currently the result and the impact of these startups that started, let's say, 10 years ago or 5 years ago, for example, in the banking and financial sector. We can see that commercial banks and even central banks are aware currently of the results of fintech applications and cryptocurrencies, mainly from the experience of Bitcoin, we can see that they are pushing towards their own digital currencies, what I call the central bank digital currencies. So effectively, the impact of innovation and new technologies, we can see it currently in multiple sectors, especially in banking, and even in insurance, in regulations, in all that. We can see what a small idea that was created between a couple of friends like a couple of years ago is currently an innovative idea and is being used on a global level. This is the point of view that I always stress startups on, because they have to believe in what they are doing. Effectively, if they have a good idea, and they have to work towards having this idea a big application or a potential application to be sold in the market. That's it.
Great, fantastic. I have a question here from attendee. From Dr. Roxana. Yeah, a question for both. As Tesi said, the price we paid for the internet 1.0 is data. Simply,
Privacy.
What do you think or estimate would be the price that we be paying for the blockchain? Interesting.
Very good question. Very good question. So it's something, and that's why I talked about, like, you know, what I was thinking back then about the internet, right? And it's something, especially, I mean, your question was asking about like combining convergence of technologies. We don't know, right?
Yes.
So my approach to that is, and that's why I started Women in Blockchain. It is really about like bringing minorities in, right? Bringing people in to the creation of the products and the systems, so that we do this with a broader intelligence, right? So really, like, if you have all these different experiences working together, we are limiting the risk, number one. We're limiting, you know, what can happen. I mean, things will happen, no doubt, you know, and that's okay. I mean, that's with any innovation. But we shouldn't repeat what we already did, right? And minorities in particular, but you know, that's not just like women or brown people. It's like there are tons of different types of minorities. They do know what doesn't work, and they're the experts in that. And so we have to build this together, because it's global and it should work for everybody.
Rami, let me add one thing regarding the question. Sure. That's true that we paid the cost in data for the internet, but I believe that blockchain will give us back our data with the trust, with all the features of blockchain. We'll be able to manage our own data and be the owner in reality, not virtually only, of our own data. So this is an important point regarding blockchain. The trust relation between me as user of any platform and the platform itself, the blockchain.
Do we think that the world will start implemented very fast in this time? Yeah, I believe pandemic area time make things accelerate much faster, but implementing it is challenging, actually. It's a big project, big change, legacy systems is there. You want to do integrations, you want to do the POC, you want to do a lot of things, even integration with other emerging technology to help this. But so what do you think? It is really challenging, right?
And I mean, any innovation is challenging, number one, right? When you look from a startup perspective, of course, it's not the technical innovation only. Oh my God, it's like, it's not the technical innovation only, but it's also the product market fit. Where's the user, right? Does the user already accept that they can manage something which they then actually have to manage? They have to manage their private keys. They have to manage certain things. They have to say yes and no to certain data. releases, and they're much more included, right? So that's one. Then the funding model, who funds it, right? If you say like, I'm building something for peers and I'm not even in the middle of it, who is going to fund this? This is open source, right? So we have to come up with different funding models. But I think the bottom of it all is like the crux of it all is that we have to solve problems, right? So where are the problems? Where are the builders and where are the problems, right? So right now, this might be in different places. Back to your question about corporations, enterprises. So the same type of technology, for example, Ethereum blockchain and Quorum, working with JP Morgan, is bringing efficiency to corporations, right? That's a whole different play. That's also making perhaps the corporations more stable, right? So it's not a waste of time. It's just like it's a totally different animal than if you have. So this is a private implementation which creates efficiency versus on a public implementation for peers, it creates trust, right? And so so one can be like revolutionizing and the other one is improving, optimizing, right? And so, yes, it will take time, and yes, there's a lot of opportunity.
Fantastic. What do you think, Charbel? Do you want to add something?
Well, for sure, it's challenging. Giving any new technology, you have to prove it first. People that are using, let's say, legacy systems since the 18th century, building a centralized system all the way since 200 years, they're not gonna come in a couple of years and change all that to a decentralized systems. They have to be introduced first to blockchain, to decentralizations, to all that. But the main point in any given, let's say, project or blockchain implementation is to highlight the use case. As Tessie mentioned, the problem. You have to show the problem and make sure that blockchain will solve the problem. And I believe highlighting this use case will be the main factor to have a successful blockchain implementation, knowing all the challenges.
Great, and I think maybe the most important part just to add is the government role, the adoption of the idea, the support. If there is a lot of attention, really it will be accelerate this part for that one.
I mean, there are also challenges, and so far, regulators, for example, have been great, right? I mean, financial regulators looking at blockchain, I mean, it's traceable. I mean, what more would you want, right? It's very auditable, right? And so, but there is, of course, that old framework. And if you want to create law, then, or if you want to apply law, like where does innovation fall into? So how do you create regulatory oversight without limiting the innovation, right? So there's always that tension, but so far so good. And the other challenge would be, let's say somebody brought up central bank digital currency. So central bank digital currency isn't the same as cryptocurrency, right? It's digital currency. So the difference to, like, there are already 92% of all fiat money is already digital. So why do we even talk about it, right? The 8% that's not going to be the difference. The difference is central bank digital currency is also programmable, perhaps. And so there are totally other implications, again, of privacy and other issues involved. So therefore, the challenge that I see is even in the way we talk about things, right? What is blockchain? Is blockchain just a distributed ledger as banks use it? Or is blockchain something that replaces trust and is public and transparent? So we have to really be precise in the way we talk. Cryptocurrency, is it something that is censorship resistant and tamper proof, or is it just digital and programmable, issued by somebody.
Yeah, 100%. This really, it will help and support, especially what we are seeing in our region, especially in UAE, Saudi. They are the government supporting very well, pushing to make sure that it is happening, putting deadlines that, like Dubai in 2016, 17, they bought Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid. They mentioned clearly that Dubai need to be blockchain without discussion. So everyone can go and support, do whatever you want, invest, train, educate, put it in the education programs, put it everywhere. Make the future is running now as it is, which is really, it's happening. And this is why maybe Dubai is the most city is not getting impacted from Corona lockdown and the situation what is happening. Cool. So maybe there is any other questions. Let we just maybe carry on about the predictions for 2020, 21 or the future. We already in the future, but we mentioned that carrying on future itself. How the technology really will change, will be part of our life. What is the also challenges in Arab region? Maybe Sherbil is expert because he's in the region, but I'm not sure, Tisi, you are maybe engaging with some people there and you are hearing about their challenges.
I'm half Iranian, by the way.
Really?
Yes. I mean, I can talk to one part of this. We all, I mean, you just said not as much, but the COVID problem, right? So that's a use case. Besides climate, right? Climate is like the biggest use case, by the
100%, way.
Yeah. Yes, and that's and a lot of these technologies can totally. I mean, we have to apply those technologies for research, for solutions in that way. For example, blockchain can do microgrids and help with the preservance of energy, for example. But or in COVID case, that's an interesting one. We had just heard about the vaccine, right? That particular vaccine we just heard about needs to be stored at -68 Celsius all the way, right? In order to be efficient, right? Okay, so there you have a use case, right? If you, I mean, it's very challenging to even be able to do this, but from a supply chain management perspective, but also, I mean, that's the use case to make sure, ensure that you know that from the beginning to the beneficiary, the vaccine has been kept cool, just the cool tracking, right? So, but let's go to the region in particular.
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you think, Sherbil? What is the challenge in our region? It's a lot of challenges actually there.
Well, it depends on each sector, starting from blockchain and the cryptocurrency side. As you mentioned, that governments in the region, some, not all, mainly UAE government, Saudi government, are stressing on regulations and legislations regarding blockchain. We have some limitation regarding cryptocurrencies till now. I believe that this is one of the main challenges in the region regarding cryptocurrencies. I believe also that the COVID-19 pandemic drove business and employees to become more reliant on technology. So in 2021, I think that the demand on new internet, new applications, new technologies will be driven by connected healthcare, smart offices, let's say remote asset monitoring, all that. So the challenge is to provide for each one of the employees And for students, mainly if we have the distance learning continuous in 2021, to provide a connected devices for healthcare, smart offices initiatives for the employees, and the continuous challenge is the cybersecurity for remote work, for education, for all that. So technology will be shaping the future, but in parallel, challenges will continue to be also incrementing, and we have to face these challenges in all terms.
It's 100%. Thank you, Mr. Rushdie, to joining us.
I'm very sorry for being
I
late.
know you
another
are in the
meeting,
event
it's
and in the conference.
okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we appreciate your participants. So let me jump to you directly. I know that you're busy,
Okay.
and I would like to ask you about your feedback about the emerging technology role, and let's be specific into the our region, UAE, maybe from your experience as CIO,
That's right.
and related to the business and the startups
Yeah.
part,
See,
how do they
like,
impact our life and so on. Go ahead, please.
thank you. I think there is, a big impact on, emerging technologies in our region, and there is big emphasis and big attention given to it here also. Especially here, I would say United Arab Emirates and other countries are having a very good plans for that. For example, here, I think I would say part of this is AI is on top of the list of each and every one. UAE, they have a very interesting plan for AI for 2030 and even 2050, and how much AI will help support the GDP, support the country, and so on. So the many use cases has been set up or have been planned for AI, for insights. Even the country has a minister of AI and so on. So I think part of this technology is AI. I have some, if you talk about technology from a technology point of view, I have a triangle. I used to say AI, IoT, and blockchain. If you get these three with each other, and this is making a big impact on our economy and our living, especially the AI will have a big impact on our lives as well. And I think it's happening as of today. I would say it does take some time. There's some challenges happening. Some countries, they have the plan, as I said, they have some use cases. They started rolling out even some services, and other countries are learning. I'm here in a conference today, and it was really amazing. I can see that the head of Arab Leagues, there is some people from Egypt was here, because everybody talk about digital economy. So I think the impact is very high, the importance is very high, and many countries are putting some budgets. For a startup point of view, we have very interesting startup ecosystem happening. We have here in UAE some startup or fintech centers or startups, incubators, accelerators, sandboxes happening in Saudi, in Egypt, in Lebanon. I think most of the countries today, they have some initiative for startups. You can see even the startups report on how much investment happening. It is gaining attention. Yes, we have an issue here because the market is not as big as Europe or USA or others. But if you bring all these countries together, then you have really a very good market for investors, for the innovators, for companies to come in. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for the great insights for that. Also, another questions I think is coming to the Q&A. Maybe we'll share it. Sana mentioned there is a multiple challenges for the blockchain technology, as Iman mentioned in the session. More on adoption and regulating. What do you think about blockchain industry stakeholders could do overcoming for these like bigger challenges? We already speak about the challenges, yes, and especially in the Arab region area and details. Yeah, you want to add something?
You want me to add to this?
Go ahead, please. Yeah.
That's fine. See, blockchain by nature is a distributed ledger. Means you need all the stakeholders to be on the ledger in a way or another. So the biggest thing, which is challenge, which is face blockchain real implementation, not pilots or normal testing, is to bring all the stakeholders on board and your ability to bring them to start the use case and to be able to take it from start to end. That's why you can see the blockchain over for government, for example, it has more success. If you take it for group of banks or whatever is happening here in UAE, some group of banks also they have some good use cases. It has some success. So that's why it does take time. I mean, blockchain, it's like it maybe it already passed the hype and we are moving into reality. But this reality will take some time because as I said, you need to bring all the stakeholders. There is many platforms as well, interoperability. There is people like think about the Bitcoin model. Maybe there is a permission model, which is more for enterprises. All of this, to bring it together, it does take time to mature. But I would say within the next 3 years, you will see more blockchain use cases happening, mainly in the government areas and for consortium of the group of banks and so on.
Fantastic. Now, what do you think from, for everyone, the question about the role of the technology in accelerating the solution for the pandemic situation, and what is our forecasting for this? What do you think? What do you think? I know that Corona is sitting with us; it's not moving. This will stay for a couple of years, maybe. Everyone's life is changed, but how the people can figure out about the solution, adaptation of the solution to solve these things, maybe using more heat detectors, 5G connectivity, something in the police area, something into the social distancing, something into the online e-commerce, education technology, everywhere. What do you think? Let me start with Tessie, maybe.
I mean, smart cities, smart devices, definitely, no doubt, right? I got this because there's an oxygen counter measurement in here. And so I can check now my oxygen levels, right? And it also has a step counter. And so now I'm like walking 10,000 steps every day, right? So technology is definitely impacting the way we behave. How will it be used within Corona? That's difficult to say. I mean, I would have initially said probably some of it will be modeling, outcome modeling to speed up the development of a vaccine, which that might be a little risky because, we take, in any kind of modeling, we take data we already know. And again, there's always like the opportunity and there's always something that we have to consider. But I do think just technologies, Rami, like you said, walking through the airports, walking anywhere, having the heat measures and things like that, smart cities in some ways is great. Mm-hmm. But again, it's like surveillance, right? I mean, it becomes very much a surveillance state that way.
A lot of big data going up and
lots of data, yes.
Yes, privacy part is very major and crucial in that part, definitely. 100% agree. Who want also to interrupt? Maybe Mr. Rushdie, Mr. Charbel.
Charbel, would like to take it?
You speaking?
Yeah. Regarding the pandemic, I have nothing to add more than I mentioned before. That technology should help us to adapt to the new normal in terms of remote working, remote education, and securing those environments, because the challenge of security is higher in these environments. So other technologies like wearables, blockchain for traceability, maybe AI for predictive analysis and testing. AR, augmented reality, may help also in simulation of, let's say, new research and all that during this pandemic. At the end, Corona will leave, but meanwhile we have to adapt and work as we are in a normal situation. I believe that these technologies altogether might help us, and we should do our best taking the advantage of all these technologies.
Great, Mr. Rushdie.
Yes, see, technology, I think the pandemic created a new norm for everybody. And now, let me take you in banking and money and payment, for example. You used to do cash, then move to cashless, and now become contactless. So even you want to pay without a touch. So now you're going to go and tap to pay. You need to even to pay your wallet. So I think what's happening here, this is moving to to a new era or a new system where most of the things will be contactless, seamless, and so on. And here is the technology playing a big role here, either from fintechs, from payment, from health as well. Health tech is very, very important today. You can just I get to know about one of the doctors. If you sometimes if you know about the oxygen, some heartbeat, and then you could see that this guy will have, maybe some person will have a problem with this disease or not. So all of this technology are coming for every part of our life, is affecting it very positively. And then the data, which is data about what we are doing, what we are consuming, what our behavior, is helping us and businesses as well to decide what is or we decide even what's good for us or not. So all of these are, I think we are going into, as we said, remote working. You can see even the business landscape is changing. People now, even the big business, to stop renting offices. You want to rent a small office, maybe. You don't need to go in an office today, even flying. You don't need to fly from a country to another because to go for a meeting, like what you used to do before. So this is bringing also changing the ecosystem of hospitality, for example. So people started, think about only your travel might be only for leisure, not for business. So you can see this is all around technology, because technology enable you to do many things remotely. And now I think we are going much more in that. So this is what we're going to see in the future, much more tech. But we have to make sure also does not remove what we can call the passion and the interaction with people, because this is an issue we're going to face later on. You're staying in your home working, you're happy, but after a while you think that okay, you need to change. So there is some society impact here is coming, but technology playing a big role here, I think, in our lives. After the pandemic.
Yeah, and maybe just one point to add from my side, that since the situation is changed, this creates a lot of opportunity for startups to innovate, to bring a new idea, to solve problems, to bring to the table for their government, for their countries, new ideas implemented, which is, people lost their jobs, but still you'll be able to innovate and be part of the equation of the innovations for using this technology, using AI, blockchain, anything, engaged in multiple education technology, healthcare technologies. Yes, go ahead.
Actually, the net of jobs creation and job loss will be more job creation. This is what all the statistics done with Gartner and other. We'll have more jobs created than job lost. People will lose. So now the point here, what jobs will be created? People have to be reskilled. The only issue now, people have to reskill themselves with the technology, with the new norm coming.
Yes, 100% actually.
I would like to add something to that.
Go ahead, please.
Because you said, I agree. This is also a great opportunity. And you see right now we are global, right? So it's not just to work on things that support your own region, but really that also bring the region into the global context, right? And collaborate. And this is a great opportunity. to also get more understanding of other places, because probably otherwise, I mean, maybe I would have come to Dubai, which I love and have been there many times. That's one thing, but now we actually have this space that collapsed, and we are all doing these conferences online, and that's amazing, right? That's one. The other thing was jobs, as you just mentioned. So I do think, and that's not, I'm not the only one, menial jobs will disappear eventually. AI will be able to take over those jobs, right? And that's great, because I mean, initially everybody's like, oh, whoa, you know, like I'm not going to have this like terrible job anymore, but you don't want that terrible job, right? If we are an efficient society, then I do hope that we will focus more on what is not as easily to be replaced, and that's creativity. So that people will actually have jobs where they can be creative. And need to be not creative as an artist, but creative in like really taking that human quality to bring things together that maybe AI doesn't have the same way.
Yeah, and to be optimistic for the people who are always thinking that, yes, we are losing jobs, something is coming, future and emerging technology, it is about the quality of life. It's make a better life for people. So they are taking the hard jobs, they are taking the risky jobs on the people like in factories and others, but it's create a new opportunity for different ways of life and different area of engagement, for sure. Fantastic. Just anyone who want to add his predictions, his idea, advices from your side before we close, or open the discussion for questions? Some final thoughts, final advices for the attendees?
Yeah, I think, like I would tell you a word which I heard it from someone. I really like it very much. In this disruptive, time, we have to learn how to learn.
Yes.
It's a learning time. It's learning. People have to learn. People have to try. We have a massive opportunity to learn new things, and do many things by ourselves. We have many platforms which you can learn free. All of this we never had it before. So I think it is, since we are talking about Arab MTech and startups, I think our Arab youth, new generation, young people, and old people actually, we have a big opportunity to learn, and I think this is what we're looking for, to have a nation which is learning, reading, innovating, and we hope we have this soon, inshallah. Many of I could see today some of the panels here, very young individuals coming with great ideas. They have new startups and so on, and I think we're going to be successful. So we look forward to have these people, inshallah.
Great. More thoughts? Great. Let me see if there is a questions, and if anyone want to add something, most welcome.
Yeah, I would like to add something. So basically, all the technologies we talked about, they're adding to our quality of life. Yes, the jobs, the menial jobs will disappear. So we have to come up with new types of economic structures, circular economies. We don't have to organize within our countries. We are local and for culture, I think. And the opportunity is to bring this culture to the world, but also to find new models of, like, for example, universal basic income. So to make sure everybody's taken care of, and to provide a good quality for everybody. So for that, like I said before, I'm encouraging everyone to join and to find what they're interested in, and to join the blockchain world from their perspective, and to bring their knowledge into it, because it's desperately needed when we're building global technology.
Yeah. Actually, I just also want to agree with you that the domain is a new community need to be built, especially the Arab community, and it is not there is no border limitation anymore. Everyone is connected.
It's only mental, yes.
True.
Yes. We can learn from experts like what we have today, from speakers, from panelists, very easy from our homes without going and traveling and all the hassle. And this definitely really help people in the knowledge. And the only remaining is do the practice and be in the picture and within the future roadmap itself for that. Yeah. Fantastic. Okay, so there is no more questions so far. Right, fantastic. If you allow me just to finalize this, thank you so much for TC Sharples, Mr. Rushdie, everyone for joining for that. And from my side, I really would like to appreciate your time and effort and the knowledge insights that you share it. For all our attendees, thank you so much as well. If you have any other questions came in the picture and you want to ask it, just fill the feedback form, please, with your feedback, with your questions. We would like to happy to answer it. And please name maybe the person who wants to answer you, or I will send it for everyone. So they can also answer you from their point of view or from their experience. Amazing. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Thank
your time.
Rami,
Thank you
for your
Stay
efforts.
safe.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have
Bye-bye.
a great day,
Take care.
everyone. We do have remaining 2 sessions now. We will go just to one session in the blockchain and one session into the cybersecurity. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day.